Seeing how this is a planned institutional development, do you have applications in for a reverse subdivision to incorporate all this land into one parcel?
Yes, yes.
You do?
It's actually it's all owned by the Palmyra
And
Publishing.
how does that coincide with people individually owning their lots?
We will, well, once we,
Do you have a buyback plan?
once we have final, I mean, John can answer this question, but once we have final subdivision approval,
Mhm.
these will become individual lots, that the owners will own individually, fee simple, like we all own a.
So that's not actually part of the institutional development?
No, the institutional's only here in this 12 acres.
And that's where you did the reverse subdivision, or applied for?
No, that's a natural occurrence when you take 4 lots and move it into one. They don't have a problem if you do.
What about the 78 acres?
I'll let John.
Sure.
The application you see before you is a conditional use application. It essentially proposes the concept of the planned institutional community, as you see it before you. Assuming that application is approved with conditions, if the board chooses to impose conditions, and then they are in turn acceptable to the applicants. Well, let me finish. Then it goes to a subdivision and land development plan application. It's at that time that we propose the lot lines. We will merge the property into one, reverse subdivide, and then propose the individual lots in any other areas, lot lines, etc. If that answers your question.
In the event that the institution degrades or falls apart, then what happens to the property?
I don't anticipate that. These are all individual homes.
Do these all revert to residential then, and it's no longer institutional?
No, I mean, it has, once you go institutional, it has to remain that way, or agricultural. It'll always be farmed,
Okay.
nothing less.
And we've already established that it's not going to be a retirement community, because I do believe it states that there's at least 12 children that are planned to go
Yes,
into here.
yeah, it's a mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as far as the roadway coming out on the Temecula Road, you stated that's for emergency use.
Yep.
Is that also for emergency use for residents of Temecula Road? Because we don't have an emergency access onto that road.
Yes, yes.
Truly?
You could use that, absolutely. If you needed to emergently escape Temecula Road.
Well, the stream there, the road floods constantly,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Okay, well, that's the only questions I have at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Carney? Doreen Carney? Am I saying your name wrong?
So just to clarify, the planned community is a different part of the institutional part of this package?
Well, they're one zoning ordinance, described in one zoning ordinance, but once this is developed, these homes will be owned separately by people.
And will they have individual design as
Yes,
well?
yeah.
So you can make your house any way you
Anything
like?
you want, yeah.
And who would do the garbage collection, like where would the garbage be collected? Where would it say if there's a garbage would it be for the whole community? Where would that garbage be collected from the township?
It would be for individual homes would have the garbage, and we haven't worked that out with the township.
Because that's a private road, so then our sanitation couldn't go in,
Yeah.
garbage collection to take care of it.
We could arrange something privately, like many people do. In my township, it's private.
And what about the idea of just the access and building up instead of building down across? In other words, the height of the building, is that restricted?
Well, that'll be determined, I think it's 30 feet, 33 feet in this township, so it's be determined by the existing building codes. Anything that's built there.
And could you explain why is the use of, maybe the lawyers, the word institutional? Because now you're talking about a private community, as one part of this that are related to the bylaw, but why the word institution?
We'll let you on.
Good question. Good question.
Why the word institution? Because it was the word included in the definition of the use at the time the application was applied for. I can't speak to you as to why that was termed planned institutional community. Let me finish. But at some point in time, this township chose to define a particular use as a planned institutional community. So you have to go back to the ordinance in effect at the time, look up the definition of planned institutional community, and then refer to the regulations in effect that impact it.
So are you familiar with that term? Can you read that to me now?
Yes,
Go
please.
ahead, please, go ahead. You're the squire.
You did say I'm a good reader, too.
Yeah, again, please don't shout out, we do have the court reporter who's taking down.
Ma'am, the ordinance in effect at the time the application was filed and under which we're proceeding under, defined the planned institutional community as, I quote, "a unified development involving a mix of uses, including institutional, residential, and agricultural-related activities designed to serve as a self-contained community." That is the definition from the ordinance in effect at the time.
But it is vague. In that, it could be, later on, it might be an institution for the care of assisted living, or so on, as you go on.
Well,
You have a planned community, and sometimes they start out as a retirement, they go to assisted living, and then on to the next step, which is full care of individuals.
Certainly, everyone can have their opinion with respect to what the use is and what it isn't. What I would suggest to you is that it's this township, through its board of supervisors and its regulatory staff, that if this application is approved and it moves forward, if someone deems us to be outside the bounds at some future time as to what the use was that was approved, then it's up to this township to make that determination and pursue the requisite action. I know that sounds like a lawyer answer, but
Yeah, and the future, will there be future development beyond the 23 houses, 28
No, that's all that we've been granted,
at this time?
under the settlement.
Will this rate be, once you do decide to go ahead with this, will this then set a precedent for the future to take the rest of the 108 acres and develop it also in the same manner?
No, because we are under settlement to do what that plan has. The 75 acres will always remain as open space. And right now it's being used as agricultural open space.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Banner?